A few months back, we worked on our video on top 5 LGBTQ themed Indian movies. We had shared our frustrations with you on how almost all the good movies around this theme are about survival of the characters, hardly moving into emotions of jealousy or insecurities like we have in the West. We also mentioned how the arc of the characters shown in most LGBTQ themed Indian movies depicts a harrowing future, with no respite for the real-life audience belonging to alternate sexuality, or more importantly for their families who might have to watch it in horror. Well, great films are either meant to disturb the content unfulfilled or soothe the already disturbed souls through the shelter of cinema. So although there's no denying of the intent, honesty and relevance of the Indian LGBTQ movies, the soothing factor that anyway the queer group lacks were hardly there when it came to cinema. And then we have one that hits all the right chords, and how. We finally have a Badhaai Do, which we would consider a milestone for queer movies in India and a potential game changer for Indian love stories overall. Today we discuss the brilliant Harshavardhan Kulkarni directorial Badhaai Do, which, true to its name, needs to be congratulated and celebrated as we try to do in this video essay. What Badhaai Do does up front is take away the weight of responsibility that often bogs down similar projects, making it much more than a survival story. On the contrary, it's one of the most intelligent, enjoyable and light-hearted mainstream Hindi entertainers of the recent times that's to be watched and celebrated with the entire family. Now think about the last time you had that combination happening, including international cinema. Maybe a handful that you can remember after careful thinking. And this is the very reason we call this film a milestone. And in the process of shedding its weight, Badhaai Do also gets rid of the halo around the characters of alternate sexuality that filmmakers often put on, perhaps unintentionally. Shubh Mangal Zyada Savdhan had tried this approach couple of years back, but failed at maintaining the thin line between satire and mockery, hurting itself in the process. In Badhaai Do, none has to wear a superhero cape to send home the right message, but it's their grounded realities that enable them to fly organically. The film does a tightrope walk from its first frame, balancing its satire, melancholy, and commentary in a perfect mix through intelligent set pieces, one after the other, that engage, entertain, and educate without pushing sermons down your throat. Say for instance the very first sequence, Shardul's big fat family deep into thought over potential wedlock with his colleague at police station, Nazneen, a Muslim girl. We are made to realize how Shardul might be dodging marital proposals for some time now, such that the conservative family is even at terms with getting him married to a Muslim family, perhaps their worst nightmare. Look at how much this deceptively simple comedy sequence achieves right there. The family with quirky characters are introduced, Shardul's and his family's backstory is set up with efficiency. There's a commentary on how small-town India is apathetic towards communal harmony, and finally how inter-religion marriage is still something that can be considered, even if not favored. Homosexuality is the unthinkable and unspoken. Badhaai Do is a similar subtle proceeding around its runtime, so much more than what meets the eye. Now, when we say it's a light-hearted film, don't think Badhaai Do paints everything in a fantastical vibe, losing grip on reality. It is also a film which talks about the constant turmoil and psychic pestering its characters go through. In fact, it's the intelligence and subtlety that comes into play even here. Say for example, Rajkumar Rao as Shardul, the male cop in a female police station, puts on a signature moustache. In a flashback scene, we see him devoid of it. Perhaps it's his incremental insecurities as someone with alternate sexuality that has made him put this makeover to fetch confidence amidst colleagues and family. He himself is not in complete terms with his orientation, always closeted in his expressions, not evolved enough to accept it. It's only under the influence of liquor or heartbreak away from home, under closed doors, that Shardul can voice his feelings. But otherwise, with people around, he becomes a heteronormative male. That too, a misogynist one, who believes dominating wife is a normal thing. Rajkumar Rao is outstanding in each of these sequences, walking that thin line like the entire film, in depicting the idiosyncrasies of Shardul torn between playing a fake alpha male to society and being a soft-hearted lover boy within. Badhaai Do follows Shardul's arc of self-realization and acceptance. Similarly, for Bhumi Pednekar's Sumi, it's not about self-acceptance, but facing her family that becomes the toughest call. Something she has been avoiding for years and has been on the verge of the ultimate compromise with herself in a pursuit to avoid the face-offs. They would call us perverts, we hear Sumi say early into the film, and that's exactly what she is called later by her brother in reality. Badhaai Do is also Sumi's arc to finally face the unavoidable. Shardul and Sumi get into a lavender marriage, which is the basic premise of the film, as evident from the trailers, a compromise to avoid all showdowns. And then we have this interesting sequence where they try to compromise their physical selves in extension of the same avoidance, and they cannot. How beautifully director Harshavardhan suggests that while lying to the society is possible, lying to your own mind and body is impossible. Badhaai Do shouts out for this basic normalcy and its acknowledgement. It is also in its portrayal of supporting characters that the film comes across as a winner, as they enable further layers of subtext. Through Shardul's romantic affairs, Badhaai Do suggests how dishonesty and deceptions are also a part of queer relationships, which itself talks about its normalcy. It's the same normalcy that comes across through Rimjim's possessiveness about Sumi or her misplaced outbursts. All of these are presented in such a matter-of-fact manner in the film that after a point of time, you feel like watching any other rom-com, which is a stupendous achievement at a meta level. And then Badhaai Do is also not heteronormative. The kind of family with a kid and all that Sumi dreams about isn't what Shardul has in his mind. He's happy and content in spending quality time with his partners, and anything beyond doesn't come to him organically. And later in the film, as Gulshan Devaiya gets introduced as the queer advocate guru, his vibrant energy and enjoying life to the full demeanor also deviates from the heteronormative way of living. And how good is newcomer Chum Darang as Rimjim and the ever so amazing Gulshan Devaiya in his cameo? Too good. Just too good. They add further colors to the rainbow of love that Badhaai Do is, immensely contributing to the fun, playfulness, subtlety, elevating the overall brilliance of the film. And by having all these characters together, Badhaai Do stresses on the importance of love and friendship beyond definitions. Yes, it is also one of the best films on friendship that we have watched lately. Be it Shardul finding shelter in Sumi's arms, the warmth of Guru's hug for Rimjim and Sumi, or Shardul's extended hands of support for Sumi in fulfilling her dreams. And the banter among Rimjim and Shardul as flatmates, or his constant comments over equal expenditure and division of labor, are also moments of friendship at its lips-packing best. The comic timing, intensity, and effortlessness of each of the four actors is so good that Badhaai Do easily becomes a film that one can go back to over and over. Not only for its courageous theme, but also for its relishing entertainment. And then talking about performances, we are yet to mention the best of the lot. That is Shiba Chadda as Shardul's mother. In a hilarious arc of her own, a not-so-typical mother who demands her own spin-off film. Shiba is a scene stealer in each of the frames she features, with a handful of dialogues and bountiful of expressions and emotions. The emotional scene with Rajkumar Rao near the end of the film will melt your heart. Again one without any dialogues, necessitating no explanation from either of the characters. Well, with all that and more, you might still not be ready for the courage Badhaai Do has in store for its climax. It calls out that even if things have progressed for the better, rights of the queer community are still being denied in the country. Rights to child adoption being one of the most important ones. And then it has its characters tweak the law to uphold the greater principle of love and equality. Think of a mainstream film doing that, questioning the law of the land and advocating change and supporting bypasses until the right reforms are made. And then you realize Shardul being a cop or Guru being an advocate, the upholders of law and order in the country, only adds to the paradoxes and subtext of the film. Badhaai Do's final frame of harmony is one for ages. One that will bring tears to your eyes as we watch Shardul, Sumi, Rimjim and Guru being their uninhibited selves, and we realize how love, friendship, family and self-acceptance can help us overcome all pseudo-barriers. Badhaai Do, in its conspicuousness, should serve as a guide for the days to come. a landmark in the landscape of Indian cinema, a film deserving of all possible badhais.